Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to week 9 of our medical terminology class. So today for this week, we're just going to look at blood vessels and blood. So, for a lot of people, when they think of this, they just think of the circulatory system, which is we kind of touched on last week. The blood vessels and the blood are interconnected with every other system, so it's pretty important. Okay, announcements. So midterm grades. I have to submit them by Tuesday to the university, so they should be up by then. I'm almost finished grading everything, so grades should be up by then when I submit them. Um, Second thing I just wanted to go over was week 6 discussion board. A lot of you guys lost a lot of points just because you guys didn't read the instructions, didn't follow through on what the instructions said. So less feedback. I'm working on finishing grading the rest of those, so a few of you won't have them still, but you should have them by tomorrow, by Tuesday. Um, but yeah, so the big thing, future reference, guys, make sure that you're reading the instructions, making sure you're doing the full assignment, because a lot of people lost a lot of points due to that. Okay, so looking at the blood vessels. So there's kind of three main blood vessel types. So we have our arteries, we have our vessels, and we have our oh, sorry, that's supposed to be veins, arteries, veins, and capillaries. So kind of how these are classified, our arteries are vessels that take blood away from the heart. A lot of people say, oh, it has to do with oxygenation. It does not. If you look at the respiratory system, there's actually an artery that takes blood from the heart to the lungs that does not that well that blood is not oxygenated, and then there's a vessel that brings it back that is oxygenated. So the best way to remember, make sure that you do this: arteries go away from the heart, vessel or veins bring it back. um and then capillaries are where the two meet, and so their job is to have very thin walls that allow diffusion of oxygen and other things into the tissues. So with blood transporting nutrients, transporting oxygen, it just allows for that diffusion from the arteries into the blood. And then any waste product or carbon dioxide is picked up in the capillaries and then transported by the veins back to wherever it goes, whether that be the kidneys or it's back to the heart. Okay. Makeup. So there's kind of four major components of blood. So you got your red blood cells. Red blood cells are in charge of transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide. So if you look at them from a chemical structure, they actually bind with oxygen, and then they eventually get to where they're going. They release it and exchange it, and you get carbon dioxide that is carried by these red blood cells back to the heart, which goes to the lungs where we breathe it out. Next one is white blood cells. That's your immune defense. So those are very important because they protect our bodies from foreign pathogens, from viruses, from bacteria. They keep us pretty healthy. So when people have like an autoimmune disorder, sometimes the blood will actually, or the white blood cells and the immune system will actually attack the body because it gets confused. The next one is platelets. So those are in charge of healing. Um, they're fragments of basically red blood cells. Um, their job is they're a clotting factor, and so they will stick together when needed. And so if you ever cut yourself or anything and you get a scab, that's your platelets. And the last one is plasma. That's just the fluid that all these cells are suspended in. It makes it so that it's easier for your body to move these cells around. Um, so mostly it's water. You do have a little bit of protein that's mixed into your plasma. So function of these cells. So you have transport, so they move nutrients. The function of blood is to move nutrients, to move oxygen. It also is there to protect you. That's your white blood cells, like we mentioned, um, keeping you safe and healthy from foreign pathogens. And the last one is healing. And so healing and homeostasis. And so the job is to kind of keep everything in balance, keep everything in order, make sure everything's functioning properly. So when you get too cold or too hot, your blood vessels will actually redirect blood to either help you lose heat or actually conserve heat, depending. Okay, with blood, you have your various blood types. So your blood types are based on the different proteins on the surface of the red or of the blood cell, or sorry, the red blood cell. So you have the A protein, the B protein, and so you can get a very combination of those two. So you can have people who have just the A protein or just the B, and then you have people who have both the AB, and then you also have people who have neither. And so O is what we call it, O type blood. It actually is zero was its original name because you didn't have either of those proteins. And the last one that you have is the Rh factor. And so that's your positive or negative. And so what that is saying, do you have a certain Rh factor? Or are you negative of it? And so with blood, those are your kind of main blood types. There's actually some other types that are very, very rare. You have what's called golden blood, which is extremely rare. I actually have a friend who happened to have it. Um, those people lack any of the Rh factors, and so they can't receive blood from anyone. So when my friend she got in a car accident, had a few bumps and bruises because she was pregnant, they were doing blood types to make sure if they had to give a blood transfusion that they could, and they realized, oh, she has this very rare blood type, she can't receive anything from it. And so in medicine, making sure you understand these blood types is super important because if you give the wrong one to someone, the body will actually have an immune response to it and it will clot that blood. And so if you give them the wrong blood, it can seriously injure someone, have permanent effects. It can even kill them. So conditions related to this system. So a lot of them are related to these four things. So either protein shapes, so that's either the red blood cell, it's not shaped correctly. So you'll see that with like sickle cell anemia. That's where the red blood cell isn't shaped properly, and so it isn't really able to carry oxygen correctly. You'll see conditions with the blood vessel walls, so they don't really they're not elastic like they're supposed to be, and so they're kind of stiff, they're hard, and so that can cause problems with blood pressure. It can cause circulation issues. The second one is circulation. So, blood's not moving the way it should. If you know anyone who has what's called edema, that's swelling at the distal part of the limb due to just fluid pooling because it's not draining properly. It's not being circulated. That's a problem. And the last one is blood volume, whether that's through blood loss or just, you're dehydrated or some other thing that's causing your blood volume to decrease. So those are kind of the main things. Okay, so that's it for this week. Make sure you do your reading, make sure you do the assignment, make sure you guys are reading the instructions and completely and doing the full assignment. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and you guys have a great rest of your week. See ya.